Our next performer is a first-time performer at the Cucumber. He's the outgoing editor-in-chief of the Yale Record, so this was his last opportunity to stand up before he graduates. Please give a warm welcome to Ben Garfinkel.
My one chance to be photographed with a microphone. It's not a couple. Like, is your trick to like stink it?
No, it's just
Hold
hold
on.
on.
Okay.
You know,
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to tell you guys the story of a friendship that I recently destroyed. Not like a friendship I had, but like two other people. And sort of like, to really understand that, I need to go back 2 years, because there's like a long time in the making. So I have these two friends, Jake and Jason, who've been friends since freshman year. And 2 years ago, sophomore year, I started playing this game. And the way the game works is I assign each of them a word. Like I might give Jake, for example, the word strawberry, and like Jason the word economics. And the way this works is like, let's hear Jake. What you need to do is you need to get Jason to say the word strawberry in conversation without yourself saying the word strawberry, without him noticing you're trying to get him to say the word strawberry. So like, the way you might do this, you might like approach Jason casually, like the day after the game started, after he's hopefully like not on guard anymore, and be like, hey Jason, like, how would you rank all of the bears? Or like, hey Jason, like I'm trying to think of this crossword puzzle. Like the clue is a berry. The word begins with straw. Just kind of like hoping that like he won't catch on. The thing is, they were really into this game, and they went through a lot of rounds very quickly, like maybe 3 rounds, like 3 days. But as time went on, they became like a lot more cautious and like a lot more strategic, and I started making the words harder and harder. Like I started giving them things like escape hatch, which just really does not naturally come up in conversation. And so the thing with this is, it's really hard to like overstate how much this can undermine a friendship like, as it goes on. Because you start thinking like, are they asking me about berries because like they like berries, or because they just want me to say the name of a certain berry, or like is he like telling me about this like childhood trauma because like he really thinks we're at that point in our friendship and like he's really hurting, or like does he just want me to say the word divorce? It starts to become like very like just destructive and anxiety-inducing in like lots of ways. And so this went on for a while and became like more and more involved. And eventually I decided to give Jake, because he was doing a really good job, like a very difficult word. How many of you guys happen to have heard of the TV show Bonanza? Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a 60s TV Western. I've never seen it. For the reason it popped in my head, it's going to be hard to get someone to say casually in conversation. But then I decided, no, actually it's too easy. So what I decided to do then was go on the Wikipedia page for Bonanza, never having seen it, and look through the Wikipedia page. And what jumped out at me is that there's a minor character on Bonanza, the Chinese chef, who only used the focus of only 2 episodes in his whole year's run. His name is Hop Sing. I wanted Jake to get Jason to say the word Hop Sing. And about a month passes, he's not able to do it, and then the year ends, and he goes off to Korea for a light fellowship, like takes a year off, spends a year in Korea, comes back. Jason is like, this is no longer on his mind whatsoever. It's completely on Jake's mind. And he starts like casually dropping, not just to Jason, but just to like people in general, hoping to kind of come back to Jason, like, oh man, I got really into the show Bonanza when I was in Korea. Like, it's this great TV Western. I watched it when I was a kid. I love this TV show Bonanza. Like, I watched it with my dad, and I've been watching it all the time. Kind of hoping that like Jason would kind of ask him about it, or like whatever. Then he becomes like a little bit more aggressive. He's like, hey Jason, like, you want to watch this TV show Bonanza sometime? Like, if you're not doing anything. And Jason wasn't inviting because like no one wants to watch a 60s TV Western. So it becomes more and more like bold with it as time passes, and becomes clear like time's ticking over the course of the year. So it's like let's say Jason comes in with like, oh, I have so much work. Jake will respond like, oh man, yeah, I was just watching this episode of Bonanza, this Chinese chef character. And he's like relying on like doing his dish work, and this is how he resolved it and stuff like that. And he just kind of pushes it more and more, but nothing ever comes of it. So Jake finally, this past weekend, decides to go big. And what he does is he holds a Bonanza screening with 20 of his friends, including Jason, supposedly incidentally. And we all get there, and we're going to watch this episode, supposedly it focuses on Hop Sing. We sit down, it's like 20 of us, but Jason's not there. So I text Jason, like, Jason, are you coming? He's like, no, I'm kind of busy. So what I need to do to get Jason to come is to be like, I think this really means a lot to Jason. I think it's like really important to him. He seems really upset. Like, I don't think he wants to tell you that himself, but I think like he's really invested in this. I think it's like really meaningful to him. I think he'd really hurt if he didn't come. And eventually it's guilt the shit out of Jason, and he comes, he sits down. And then Jake, for the benefit of just Jason, everyone else in the room knows what's going on. He begins to introduce the episode and he goes like, this is the show Bonanza. Like, I love it so much. I watched it all the time with my dad. It means so much to me. This is the most special episode to me. Like, I really want to show you this guy. So he sits down. At this point, as the episode starts, there are 3 pieces of information that need to be communicated. The first, which in retrospect is obvious, but we did not realize until we'd seen this episode at that moment, was that 60s television was not like a good time for the representation of Asian American characters. Like, just not at all. Second, not incidentally, Jason's Asian American. And third, episodes of Bonanza are half an hour long. Or no, 60 minutes long, I'm sorry. So within like 60 seconds of like Bonanza starting, already the Chinese character Hobson has appeared, been attacked by a group of white men, had his pigtail cut off, and begin to sob in the most broken English imaginable that without his hair he can't get into heaven, and his ancestors are shamed. And it's the most uncomfortable thing that's ever happened. You can see a calculation running in Jake's head of like, is it worth it? Like, is at this point worth it for Jason to think I'm a horrible racist, that this is my favorite thing I've ever seen in my life, to win this game? And he ultimately decides yes. And the episode's on like 60 minutes, and everyone's in ashen silence. His favorite voice to me is sitting there the entire time, his head just going like hoping that Jason will spring up any second and go like, what the fuck's up with Hop Sing? It doesn't happen. We get the entire episode. Hop Sing solves a murder using the ancient Chinese art of chop. It's really horrifying. And the episode ends, and the Bonanza theme song comes on, it's this very cheerful, like, Bonanza, and that finishes, and we're sitting here just like ashen silence, like, heads are in their hands, and Jason's not saying anything at all. And so really, there are 2 ways this can go at this point. First way this can go is Jason eventually says Hop Sing. The second way is Jake just apologizes and goes, holy shit, I'm so sorry, I fucked up. And the third way it can go is Jason doesn't say Hop Sing, and Jake decides to try and continue the game, and Jason just leaves that room thinking that his friend Jake is a horrible idiot. What the strategy Jake ultimately takes is he decides that like the way to get Jason to say is to dig himself in even deeper and like, pretend he doesn't understand why Jason doesn't like it. It's not good. He starts saying things like, oh, I see you feel like, was there an issue with the Asian character? Was Asian, and eventually Jason finally starts to say like, oh, see the thing of the portrayal of Hop Sing, at that moment, like, a couple of things happened. First is, like, Jake had instructed everyone previously to stand up and laugh at Jason. Half of him stands up and starts pointing at him. Jason, you can see the gears turning his head as, like, all at once, the pieces of these past years. And it's, like, all at once understands and kind of, like, collapses into himself. And meanwhile, Jake begins, like, hurriedly saying, I hate Bonanza! Bonanza's awful! It's just like truly the most uncomfortable, like, really destructive moment I've ever witnessed. And there are a couple key lessons from this. The first is that, like, interesting dynamic about this game, if you ever choose to play it, is if you're one of the people trying to get the other person to say a word, like you're Jake, you might think you're being really tricky and manipulative, when clearly what the case is that I'm the one manipulating both of them. He wasted like 2 years of his life and almost destroyed a friendship. And the other thing is if you're the person choosing the words, then you really ought to go big, like choose stuff like, I love you, Ellen, or like, one-way ticket to Somalia, please. Or like, I'm not ready for a divorce. Alright, and that is my thing.